G'day everyone and welcome to the GrainCorp Temora webinar. I'm Izzy Hutchinson, the Grower Services Manager for our Southern region. I'll be hosting this webinar this afternoon, which will be held in place of physical grower meetings for our Ardlethan, Barm Edmund, Bribbury, Millvale, Marul, Quandialla and Temora sites. 2020 has certainly been a big year for everyone, and while a lot of things have not gone to plan this year, one positive has been the return of some decent rainfall across the East Coast. While it's an exciting time for the industry, there is also a lot riding on this crop, and we are not underestimating the importance of getting this crop off and generating some badly needed cash flow for our rural communities. No doubt, some topics discussed this afternoon will lead to further questions. You may have noticed that this session is equipped with a chat feature. I encourage you to put forward your questions at any time and we will do our best to answer them as we go. If we don't get to your question at the end, then you can expect a call from the appropriate person within our team to discuss your query following the webinar. Given it's a busy time of the year, I aim to wrap this up within the hour. So please understand that we may not be able to drill down into too much detail around operations at every site. To kick off the presentation this afternoon, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our local site managers across the Temora area.
Hi, my name's Darren Hamilton. I'm the site manager at Quandialla. This year we're planning on taking canola for the first time. This will be going into the regen bins, so therefore there will be a limited storage, which I will contact the growers and let them know where we're going with that. We're taking Latrobe barley, Planet barley, and obviously the feed barley, and various wheat grades. We'll have 5 stackers on site when the time is ramping up, and on the staffing side of things, we're planning on a double shift. We're sitting pretty good with our numbers, and we have several return casuals.
Hi, Brad Lomax here, site manager at Ardlethan. This year, thank God, we're looking at a big harvest, bigger than a lot of other years that we've had. With the barley, we'll be taking Latrobe, Planet and Spartacus malt barleys, plus your bar 1. With canola, that'll be 2, possibly 3 drop-off points, especially going into the rail bins for overflow, same as your wheat. We'll have 3 big bunkers going with wheat, with 5 stackers for the whole harvest. With recruitment, we're looking pretty well on top of it at this stage. Be a lot of new staff, especially in the sample stand and weighbridge, which I'm pretty excited about. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate and call. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Andrew Coleman. I'm the site manager at Millvale. This year we'll be running 2 shifts at flexible hours, whatever's needed. We've got plenty of return casuals, plenty of qualified samplers from previous years. We'll have plenty of bunker equipment here. We're going to have 4 sets. We've already got 2 set up. We'll have plenty of drop-off points. Taking wheat, barley and canola. Latrobe's going to be the only malt variety we take. And if we need rail overflow, we've got rail coming. And our hours will be whatever you need. Thanks.
Hopefully that provides you with an insight into who you'll see on site this harvest. It's pleasing that there's a few familiar faces. I now want to take a moment to speak with Nigel Lotz, our General Manager of Operations, about GrainCorp. Good afternoon, Nigel. Thanks very much for your time this afternoon. Can you just give us a brief update as to what's been happening around the GrainCorp business over the last 12 months?
Yeah, thanks, Izzy. It's great to be here today. And look, I think for me, it's certainly exciting to see such favourable conditions as you touched on before, Izzy. Certainly a big change from last year. And I mean, over the previous couple of years, we've just been basically a grain importer from the west coast to the east coast to satisfy the domestic demand. So very exciting to see a favourable conditions. Very exciting, particularly in this area such as Temora, to see that I think everyone's got a grin on their face looking to a good crop. It's not over yet, but certainly looking favourable. In terms of these webinars, I think it's a great initiative. It's a sign of the times, but a nice, efficient way to get information to you, the grower. Just as a bit of an FYI, the harvest has kicked off in the north, in CQ, Central Queensland and Northern New South Wales. It's trickling in at the moment. Queensland's not as lucky as you all here in the Temora area. It's not as good a year, unfortunately, but they are underway, all going well so far. Just generally, I'll give a bit of an update of what's happening on the corporate side of the business. You may have seen a bit of press through the year in terms of the demerger of our malt business. Our malt business is a significant business in terms of malting around the world. It was the fourth largest maltster in the world. In March, we had the successful demerger of that business. What does that mean for GrainCorp now? The restructured business is the grains operations and our processing operations, as well as our international team. More importantly, though, in terms of our financial structure, we have a very strong balance sheet, basically zero core debt, which for any ag-based company puts us in a very strong position to go forward and to grow from here. So very happy about that. Also, we've had the commencement of our new CEO, Robert Spurway. He started in March, came across from Fonterra in New Zealand, previously worked in Australia with Goodman Fielder as well. So strong experience in the ag sector and an operator at heart, which is, I think, great from a CEO to have a strong empathy for what makes the business tick. In terms of our focus at the moment, as we keep touching on, it's going to be a big harvest for East Coast Australia. Our goal in your supply chain is to monetize your grain. We take this very seriously, and all our harvest prep has been going to make sure we deliver on that. There's 5 key areas we've been focusing on. One is communication, of which this webinar is part of that, but both commercially and operationally, we communicate with the grower through the year and leading up to harvest to ensure we're satisfying your needs. Also has been setting up our COVID-safe operations, which I'll go into a little detail later. Important strategic capital projects, both with our digital platforms such as Crop Connect, our eBay for grain, call it, and our physical, which includes sites and mobile equipment. Our stackers are always topical, I know. And just to let everyone a bit of insight, we've got 21 new stackers will be commissioned ready for use for this harvest and 10 high-capacity dogs. Also, in terms of infrastructure, we've been focusing on in this area the last couple of years, notably the Ardlethan rail bins and more recently the Quandie bins. It'll be good to give them a good test. The other one is our maintenance programs for fixed and mobile assets. Just like you on your farm, it's very important for us to be ready for the start of harvest. So a lot of work goes into this. And finally, the harvest casual recruitment program. This is integral to the success of our harvest, and we've been put a lot of effort into it and going well to date. In terms of the COVID safe prep, I'll just note that obviously you're all dealing with this in your day to day. It's been certainly for us as GrainCorp an impost on our supply chains, but we've been dealing with this since March, and our teams have done a fantastic job. And across all of our supply chains, which includes grain, our processing, and our oils businesses, we've had no disruptions to date, which is really commendable to the team. We anticipate this success to continue with good planning into our grain harvest receival. For us, it's a priority to keep your supply chains healthy and safe this harvest. As you've all been doing, the normal social distancing practices will be in play, and our sites will be as contactless as possible. The team will run through what this means in more detail. And I just say, as always, if in doubt, communicate with your site manager for whatever issue you may have. That is the best way to keep in touch with what's happening. Key to our COVID-safe operations are our platforms such as Crop Connect, which is our digital grain marketing platform. And just for those who are not as IT literate, we do have the 1-800-GRAINS number, and one of our team members will be on the end of that line to help you if required. Wrapping this up, couple this with our industry-leading 2-day payment terms. We're confident we'll be able to provide you with a safe and efficient operations this harvest. So on behalf of GrainCorp, thank you for logging in. We appreciate your time and looking forward to partnering with you this harvest. Thank you.
Thanks, Nigel. It certainly has been a busy 12 months for GrainCorp to ensure that we partner with our grower customers. Now, for the remainder of the session, we are opening up the floor to a Q&A style program. We've got 4 of our leading staff members on board to answer your questions. I encourage you that you post all your questions into the chat section, and we will endeavour to cover them all as we go. The panel this afternoon includes Craig Cochran, our Senior Manager, Supply Chain in the South, Warwick Smith, our Regional Operations Manager for Southern, based here in Wagga, Rodney Crowe, our Area Manager for Temora, and Amy Galvin, our Grain Marketer for the Temora and Griffith areas. Rodney, I'll open it up to you with a question to yourself. We've heard from the site managers, and it's pleasing that we've got some familiar faces there. Can you please just recap what sites in the area will store malt and canola this coming harvest?
Thank you, Izzy. Firstly, I'll start with Arleth, and as Brad mentioned, we'll be taking Latrobe, Planet and Spartacus malt there along with Bar 1. Given the vast array of malt barley varieties that are planted in the area, we've got to cater for that little bit extra. Not that we're overly keen on it, but we are able to cater for it. Canola at Arleth will be going into a bunker and rail bins for some potential overflow of canola. We do have some locked in, which is very pleasing that we've got that locked in already. Moving on to Temora, we will be taking Latrobe and Planet Barley as malts along with Bar 1. And on the canola front, we'll have 2 bunkers of canola running there, given that the amount of canola that can be in that area. Millbar will only have the 1 malt grade, which will be Latrobe. It'll also have multiple drop-off points for canola, as Andrew mentioned earlier. Condiella will be having Planet as a malt and Latrobe as a malt barley. And as Darren said in his little piece, the canola into the site is the first time we've received canola there. It's a strategic throughput movement only, which will mean that if the rail bins fill, we will have to close for canola at Condiella, but we do have Bribri and Caracable either side to be able to service your needs. Obviously, as soon as the train's loaded, we're back up and going again at Condiella to be able to receive that canola. It's something that we promised the growers in the Condiella area some time ago when we built the bins there, and we're going to test them out this year with the canola harvest in that area.
Thanks, Rodney. It sounds like the growers have got plenty of options for their malt and canola this year. Warwick, there's been a lot of media around staff and labour due to COVID. Can you give us an update as to how GrainCorp has gone about recruiting to ensure that we've got enough staff on site to receive this harvest?
Yeah, thanks, Izzy. As Nigel touched on, the harvest recruitment for our harvest casuals is one of our biggest priorities that we have to contend with as we move into a good season. So for many months now, across the entire network, GrainCorp's been working very hard to recruit the required amount of harvest casuals that we'll need to assist with the harvest this year. Generally, we need in the vicinity of around 3,000 plus casuals for the whole East Coast network. Up to this date, we've had over 5,500 applications come through. So we're really, really on track to meet the criteria for all our staffing levels across the network, particularly in southern New South Wales. We are tracking very, very well and don't see any issues or concerns with meeting the numbers we need to obviously support the growers and run, obviously the operating hours that are going to be required for this big season. Thanks, Izzy.
Thanks, Warwick. That's great. Now, Rodney, would you be able to provide us with some insight into the casual recruitment in your area and what it means for these sites?
Casual recruitment this year, Izzy, has been absolutely terrific as opposed to other years. A lot more comfortable at this time of the year than what I have been in other good years. Saying that we're about 85% full, we're chasing probably 15 labourer positions, more notably at Arleth, Millvale and Condiella. As generally the case with Arleth and Condiella, it's a bit harder to find those last few of those sites, but we are confident of finding them. That will give us definitely double shifts, extended hours at Arleth, Temora Sub, Millvale and Condiella. Bribri will run as it has through the last few years, the hours required with the one shift of people, some starting earlier than others and some finishing later to provide those few extra hours for everybody. And Marul and Barmeadman will be running one shift as longer hours as we can provide under our fatigue management rules. But overall, very good with the recruiting this year. Numbers are looking really good. Just on a site manager piece, you would have noticed there was no site manager recording there for Temora Sub. We've been busy recruiting for a site manager there. Those at Temora may or may not know that we've had a vacancy there. So we've got a person starting there very shortly. Obviously, they're going to hit the ground running, but we do have plans in place for the site. We have 4 other permanent staff members on site who are all quite capable, so all things looking good there. there will be some communication going to the growers when the person starts next week or the week after.
Very good. Thanks, Rodney. Now, Craig, we heard from Nigel. He had some pleasing news in regards to the equipment piece and adding stackers to our fleet. Can you just give us an update into what GrainCorp's been doing to ensure that we've got equipment and tarps in place for this coming harvest in southern New South Wales?
Thank you, Izzy, and good afternoon to everyone. Look, I think that our business is very excited about the potential of this crop that's coming, and as such, over the last 6 months alone, we spent over $10 million on new tarps, the 21 stackers that Nigel alluded to, and upgrading our dogs and getting new 400 tonne an hour dogs in to service our growers. So our planning, when you couple that in with the gear, the planning started back in March, which is the earliest ever. So we've obviously with COVID, we had to have a plan A, B, C, and D about how we were going to operate. But we're very confident that where we are today is the best that we've ever been in readiness for hopefully what is a massive crop.
Thanks, Craig. As you've already heard this afternoon, GrainCorp's been busy putting in a COVID-safe plan to ensure that yourself, our communities and our staff remain safe this harvest. I'll go across to Warwick to get an update as to what this COVID plan is and how it will operate so that you're aware come harvest time.
Well, good. Thanks, Izzy. Obviously, as everyone knows, we're living in challenging times. Obviously, lucky enough in New South Wales, things are trending the right way with regards to COVID, but obviously there is still a risk there. And as a risk, obviously, as GrainCorp, we're not prepared to take any risks at all when it comes to obviously the safe and well-being of our staff, and then obviously of our customers as well, and truck drivers and people who are having interactions with us. So we've taken measures to obviously reduce that contact as much as possible during the harvest period. So basically what it will entail is to obviously a grower delivery advice will be required on every delivery that comes into our site, and also with any samples that need to be tested at our site. So basically, delivery advice to be delivered as a truck would roll in. Obviously a lot of our sites it's just basically into the bucket or onto the clip at the sample stand. Obviously the samplers then can grab it and start the process of the assessment of their grain. Obviously as we print out, once the testing is completed, our staff will then come out and present the paperwork to the driver, who will then proceed onto the weighbridge. We've increased as you can see on the slide there, that is what the receivable docket that you'll receive from the sample stand. Clearly, we've enlarged the font down the bottom to have some of the critical information that our hopper attendants will require and our weighbridge staff will require, so they don't have to actually touch the paper in that aspect. So the driver just hangs that out the window or puts it up against the window, and then obviously our hopper attendants and that can see that quite comfortably and know that they're in the right spot and can tip the grain off when ready. With regards to samples, I might let Rodney talk to that more specifically, but along the same process as well.
Thanks, Warwick. So we've just heard that we need to do a grower delivery advice form when delivering as well as doing samples. Rodney, can you please take us through what this form is and how a grower requests a sample to be completed?
Yes, on the sample front, it's you'll turn up on site. Obviously, the first part of harvest, you'll want a full test done on everything that you're looking to deliver. So about 1.5 kilos or 1.5 litres of grain, so there in the bag that's got a grower delivery sample, delivery advice. Please put the required information on that, such as your NGR name and phone number. You can wait at the base of the stairs. We'll have a bucket there ready so that our samplers can pull the bucket up, do the test. We can return your test result to you in a timely manner, depending on the throughput of trucks at the site. But the main thing is put on there the required information as your grower number, your phone number, your the contact name. Also, when filling them out on a delivery, please put on there the truck code details, the truck registration, any permit details that you may have, just so it saves any confusion for our samplers. So they're not learning our windows of sample stands trying to count wheels on trucks, etc. If you know your truck code, have it on there. On the retest side of things with the sample, obviously when it's borderline from one grade to another, we've got Croptimizer there to help with limiting the amount of retest that may be required at times. But if you do, you can still request a retest as per usual, which will be done out of the bucket. If that's not sufficient, then you may have to turn around and go back around and join the line again at the sample stand. If you're not the only truck on site, which I'm hoping you're not the only truck parked there at times, but that's the process for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rodney. Now remember, if you've got any questions that you'd like answered, please utilise the chat feature to send them across and we'll address them. I'll now go across to Amy to get an understanding of what it means to go contactless on site and how growers sell their grain on the weighbridge.
Our Crop Connect platform can then be utilised to complete transactions. Through Crop Connect, you'll be able to see the load details, see where the truck is on site, use it as a stock management tool. You can cash loads through Crop Connect and you can also use it for your contract management. Crop Connect also offers features or accounting features such as your RCTIs and delivery summaries. Load quality details will be sent as a notification to your phone once they've been processed on site. Look, Crop Connect is really a one-stop shop for harvest this year, so I suggest that you log on to Crop Connect before harvest starts and familiarise yourself with the platform.
Thanks, Amy. As you mentioned, growers will need to warehouse their grain and utilise Crop Connect to complete their sales. What costs and other benefits are involved in warehousing grain?
Look, there's zero cost involved with Crop Connect if sold prior to the grace period. So our free warehousing period is the month of delivery plus 2 months. Another benefit to Crop Connect and directly warehousing grain is Croptimizer, which is our quality upgrade program, which is applicable to wheat and barley. Now, you need to meet 3 criteria for a load to be eligible into Croptimizer. The first one is it needs to meet certain parameters around protein and screenings. You need to have grower equity, which means you need to have delivered the higher grade previously, and it also reflects on the stack position at site. You have any eligible loads, and then you simply just call 1-800-GRAINS, and they will be able to upgrade your loads for you.
Very good. Thanks, Amy. I'll now throw across to Craig. It sounds like the sites are ready to receive the grain this harvest. Is the business ready for the export task across the East Coast?
Look, thanks, Izzy. They certainly are. It's really pleasing that our shipping stem has been very well supported. And as such, I'm actually in Port Kembla at the moment. And as Nigel alluded to earlier, we actually swung our supply chains around, so we were importing. So the only thing at the port that didn't get a really good go over was our ship loaders. So they're getting a birthday at the moment, and the crew down here are very excited about putting grain out through them again. We've also in the process of finalising our detailed cleaning on our flow paths and our bins. So, the crew are feverishly getting ready for the big export program that hopefully comes off shortly.
Very good. Thanks, Craig. We've had a question come in from the audience. So this question's come from Jeanette. Where do we get the delivery advice forms from? I'll throw this one across to Amy. So if you can just go through where the grower will find those delivery advice forms, Amy.
Izzy, the delivery advice forms can be found on our website through the grower forms link on our website. And if you're having any issues with that, with finding that link on the website, please just call 1-800-GRAINS and we will be able to point you in the right direction.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeanette, for that question. It was a great one. We've also had a second question come through from our audience. This one's from Nick. How do I learn to use Crop Connect and link multiple NGRs to my account? I'll throw this one across to Amy as well.
Great question. Look, for access to Crop Connect, I suggest, again, you call the 1-800-GRAINS number, and the team that picks up the phone will be able to talk you through linking your NGRs through Crop Connect, and also they can give you a rundown of how the platform actually works and how you can utilise it to the best of your advantage.
Very good. Thanks, Amy. The next thing, so we've just heard from Craig in regards to the large export task that we've got going on post-harvest. Amy, can you just give us a brief overview of what options we've got for up-country site deliveries or direct into the port post-harvest?
Look, there's a couple of options this year. So we do have the option for delivery direct into the port, which includes GrainCorp's industry-leading 2-day business payments for any grain delivered to the port post-harvest. The other option is if you're storing grain on farm for harvest logistics, we can also look at post-harvest deliveries into some up-country sites.
Very good. The last question I've got there for you, Amy, is just I need to understand about the canola sustainability changes and what's occurred there. If you can just give us a brief update of that.
Sure, Izzy. Look, there's been a lot of questions on this over the last few months. So basically what's happened there is 7 of the major canola exporters have centralised the process through NGR. Which takes the canola sustainability, which makes the canola sustainability process easier for everyone involved. The general guideline of the program is similar to previous programs. You as the grower now only need to complete one form, which is then valid across the 7 exporters who are part of the program through NGR. If you are growing canola, I suggest you contact NGR for further information on the program and also to complete the canola declaration form. And also be aware that prices that you do see posted on the GrainCorp bid sheets is a sustainable canola price, which is a premium to the non-sustainable canola price. So please be aware of that. And if you have any questions, please call myself and I can have a chat to you about that.
Perfect. Thanks, Amy. We've had another question come in from the audience. This time it's from Jamie. Thanks for this, Jamie. So do we have to print out grower delivery advice for every load we deliver this year? I'll throw this one across to Warwick, please.
Yeah, thanks, Izzy. Good question, Jamie. Yes, every load will require a new delivery advice form. So basically, when you do deliver, obviously that form will receive that and obviously start the process of sampling. You will not, it won't be returned. Obviously, you'll just receive the receival docket as we showed up before. So every load and every sample that needs doing will require a delivery advice form.
Very good. Thanks for that, Woz. So just to recap the session, the key messages that I've taken away are the major changes this harvest with the COVID plan. So the sites will be contactless. Delivery advice will be required for both samples and delivery, and all grain will automatically be placed into warehouse. I've also taken away that Crop Connect will be utilised to complete transfers on contract, cash, and pools, as well as place offers, view invoices, and manage notifications. I would also suggest that you check your personal details with NGR prior to harvest and complete the canola sustainability declaration if you wish. This concludes our webinar for this afternoon. Hopefully this session has provided you with a knowledge of what GrainCorp is doing this harvest to ensure you, the community, and our staff remain safe. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us on 1-800-GRAINS or email growers@graincorp.com.au. Thanks again for your time this afternoon, and I wish you all a very safe harvest. Thanks.